Hey everybody, it is my week off. It is 10 o'clock in the morning and I'm not working, and the kids are out of the house for the moment. So I'm going to start working on my writing. Now I have just one goal for this week, and that is to edit and enter a story into a short story competition. I think I've selected the story that I'm going to use, but it's just a first draft and it needs quite a lot of work. So that's what we're going to do this week, and I'm going to take you with me every step of the way of the editing and submission process, and then we'll of course follow it up with what happens. So the competition that I'm entering is called the Bridport Prize, and it's a UK-based competition, and they have a number of different categories. There's poetry, short story, flash fiction, and novel, I think, from memory. I have already entered a poem in the poetry category, and I'm also going to enter a short story. So let me tell you what I've already done to get ready. I have already read the rules for submission and the eligibility, and the main takeaway point from that is that it's maximum 5,000 words. So I do have a story in mind that firstly is already under 5,000 words, but secondly I think that it could be a good fit. Now the stories I write are usually kind of ghost stories, a little bit psychological. I'm becoming increasingly doubtful of whether they fit into a single genre. And what I was thinking is, well, ghost stories are their own specific thing, right? How well do they fit with mainstream literary magazines and competitions? Or would I be better off submitting to more genre specific publications and contests around horror and so on, because those also exist? So the story that I've chosen to submit to this prize, it's not really a ghost story at all. It's not really horror. I don't really know what it is, actually. It's short, and I don't know what else to say about it, really. I have no idea whether it's any good. Nobody else has read it yet. And it's still in a very first drafty form. Now, of course, what I wanted to find out was what sort of short stories have won this prize before or been highly commended? What kind of genres did they fit into? Now, unfortunately, on the website of the Bridport Prize, I couldn't read the stories themselves. You can read about previous winners, but I think that you need to buy the book where they publish everything in order to read the actual entries. You already have to pay to enter the competition. It costs £15, and I don't really want to also spend more money on buying the book as well to read it. So what I'm gonna have to do is a little bit of sleuthing online to see if I can find out what kind of stories have won or done well in the past. So we're gonna make coffee, we go upstairs, and we try to find out a little bit more about the kind of short stories that might do well in this competition. Okay, so I did not manage to find the actual winning entries to read online for free. What I did manage to find was the judges' report from last year's prize, where it talks about the highly commended and winning entries in each category. And I also read the Meet the Judges page from this year. Now, what was that useful for? So, I mean, on the one hand, if you read the Meet the Judges page and find out about the interests and preferences of those judges, you could be like incredibly strategic and try to tailor what you write exactly to their interests. I'm not going to do that. I already have a story. I already quite like that story. But I do think that that story has some elements that those specific judges seem to like from what they talk about. So that's good. Now, I'm not going to go in and try to completely rework that story to fit those exact preferences because, well, I'm just not going to do it. I don't think it's a great idea. And I'm not going to do it anyway. I believe in the value of my own story such that I'm not going to try and tailor it exactly to specific judges' tastes. I'm sure people probably do that, but anyway. And then reading about the winning entries from last year and why they were selected as winners or highly commended, that was also really useful. And that kind of sheds light on the different subject matters and how they were written about and why they were compelling as stories, essentially. So that was really useful background information to have. And I now feel like I have some enthusiasm and motivation to go into that story and to start editing it and to make it work. Okay, so I'm done editing for the day. I spent a little while on the story and in doing so reduced. So I reduced the word count a bit, lost about only 500 words, but it's not a very long it's not a very long short story. So I could have done more on it, but now sorry, one of my kids is here and they keep trying to get in the shop. So I could do some more, but I'm going to leave it for the day. So I've now sent it to my partner. So I've sent it to my partner as my trusted reader, just to ask him to look for any small mistakes, some kind of general feedback, if he thinks there's any more kind of dead wood in the story that can be cut out. And then I'm going to come back to it tomorrow. So I will see you tomorrow. Good morning, everybody. Welcome back. So my partner has now read the short story and he basically said, I'm done with the story, I really liked it, no notes. Which is good. I kind of expected slightly more feedback or notes, but I guess that's a good thing. And then we had a conversation about the ending because I actually changed the ending of this story to prepare it for submission. And the original ending, even when I wrote it, I had kind of doubts about it. I was like, oh, is this a little bit tropey, a little bit, cliche, a bit of a twist ending, basically. And I love a twist ending, I have to say. Like, that last sentence hit me with it. Love it. So that was the original ending. And then when I started looking into mainstream literary magazines, looking at potential competitions, one thing that I have understood from reading about them is that they are a little bit more like highbrow, and they're not necessarily keen on a twisty ending. They don't want cliches. They kind of want to be challenged and confronted as readers and not be given those kind of potentially tropey bits. So I changed the ending and I took out the little twisty tropey bit at the end and I just left the ending a bit more ambiguous, let's say. So my partner had read that version with the more ambiguous ending. And then I told him about the original ending, and he was like, oh, but I like that better now. So we talked about it, and it made me kind of suddenly doubt my decision to change the ending, and then maybe I should put back in that last couple of sentences. But I do think it's the right decision for this competition. I think that those kind of endings, a little twist right at the end, they work really well in ghost stories. But ultimately, they work really well in some ghost stories, not in all. But ultimately, this is not actually a ghost story at all. I don't know where it came from. It's not a ghost story. So ultimately, I've decided to keep the second ending, and my plan for this morning is to do another run through of the story and see if I want to make any further edits, and then I hope that I can actually submit it this morning, a couple of days ahead of the deadline. Would you believe it? Scenes never before seen in my house. So that's it. I'm feeling good about it. And my partner said another really nice thing, which was, with every story of mine that he reads, he feels like I'm evolving more as a writer, which is a really lovely thing to hear, and it really boosted my confidence. So I'm feeling good about that. So that's it. That's the plan for this morning. A leisurely, well, I hope, a relatively leisurely morning, doing some final editing and then preparing for submission. Now, there are lots of specific submission guidelines for this competition, probably for all competitions, that you need to follow in terms of the precise formatting. So I'm going to be making sure that I read those really carefully, read them twice, read them 3 times, to make sure that I'm not making any kind of daft mistakes right at the end, and then we can get it ready for submission. Okay, that's it. I've entered the short story. It's gone. There's nothing more I can do. It is finished, done, submitted. And it's not even 11 o'clock in the morning. So I now have a bit of free time. My God, it feels strange just saying it. Where I was tempted to go back into another story and do some editing and stuff, and then I kind of made myself stop because I think I would probably benefit more from just taking downtime and not getting into another bit of writing work at the moment. So that is it. I am finished for the day. Should hear about this competition in a couple of months. The only things I really did this morning were some final small edits. I read it through several times, did find a couple of like tiny typos. I changed a couple of words, and then I was making sure that everything was formatted correctly for the competition, and then sort of anxiously checking all those sort of formatting rules. I feel like I forgot all the rules about kind of like paragraph indentation, how to start dialogue. Everything kind of deserted me. I kept having to look up that kind of stuff for some reason. Started to doubt everything. But anyway, it's done now. It is submitted. Thank you for coming on this submission journey with me. It's my first ever short story submission. It's going to be the first of many submissions we're going to be working through in the next few months. I would love to hear from any other short story writers out there, and I'd love to know where you submit to, what genres you're writing in, what you love or find difficult about writing short stories. I'd love to chat. So yeah, I'll keep you posted. Thanks for watching. Bye.